Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. So today, instead of talking about our reptiles, I got an order in from a company called Rainbow Mealworms, and I'll put a link to these guys in the description below. But they have all kinds of feeder bugs and all kinds of other goodies. Today we ordered, actually got some superworms and crickets in, so I'm just kind of doing an unboxing of that, and then kind of show you how to set them up, or the way we set them up, and you can kind of play off of that and set them up in a way that might suit you if you ever do get these kind of bugs. So we have the bugs, of course, some scrap paper. If you get anything shipped to you, save the paper. It comes in very handy. A tote to sort some of the stuff out in. A couple of totes over here that the superworms are going to end up in. And we have some cardboard egg crates that we're going to use to just kind of put in there for the bugs to crawl on. And then, of course, way over here, if I can reach, I have some just regular plain oats that we're going to put in as bedding. Now, Rainbow Mealworms does sell their own superworm food and bedding. We just didn't order that at this time around, but we will get some on our next shipment. It's really good stuff, but of course, we just feed them other stuff, which I'll get into later. All right, time to get into it. All right, guys, so of course, we just gotta open up the box, and we're not gonna use, any kind of fancy equipment, just a good old box cutter here. Open these guys up, and we've used other companies in the past, but these guys, I love their packaging. These are the crickets. There's 200 crickets in here, and then I have 2,000 superworms in this bag, and I've never had any problems with any dead bugs arriving. There was one time, but I contacted their customer service and they sent me some more bugs pretty easily and without any hassle. So like I said, they're great. Let me just get these out of here. Don't need that anymore. All right, so I'm going to do the superworms first, just because it's a little easier, I guess. So they come in this bag. They're wrapped up really tight. We've had some other companies that have sent them to us just straight in a box, and superworms, of course, like to crawl into little tight spaces, and some end up getting out of the box. So we really love that they ship them like this. So all we're going to do is dump them into this nice big sorting tote that we keep around. It's just a lot easier this way because some of them will stick to the bag. This way we can get them all in here and then just kind of separate them into the totes as we need to go along. And there's always some that like to hide out on top. So sometimes you got to get in here and just dig them out. All right, check the bag. Make sure there's no more in here. And we're good. All right, done with that. So what I like about these two is that they actually ship them in newspaper, which gives them a lot of place to crawl around, so they're not overcrowding each other during shipping. And you can see that they're nice and healthy. They're great. They're not super tiny. Let me get a handful here. And this is probably my favorite part, just going through and messing with the bugs. All right, so once we have them in here, I'll just grab one of our totes. And you can use wheat bran, you can use even chicken feed, which is great. It gives them a lot of vitamins. But for a base, like I said, we just use old-fashioned oats. So I'm just gonna throw that in here. And it doesn't have to be a super deep layer. We do a couple of inches and they're great like that. But what I like to do is mix them with the newspaper that were sent in, just because it gives them an extra layer to kind of crawl around in. So we'll do that. Throw in a couple of layers of newspaper here. And then on top of that, I'm actually going to put another layer of oats. Now, some people will stop there, don't need that anymore. But on top of that, what I like to do is put cardboard egg crates. Now, this kind of serves a dual purpose. This way they have an extra layer on top of the oats and on top of the newspaper to crawl around on. But the added benefit of this is I like to feed ours veggies. So they get potatoes, which last great a really good while without rotting, without getting moldy, stuff like that. They provide a lot of moisture for them, but not really too many vitamins. So I like to throw in apples, and then the veggies that our bearded dragons and other vegetarian reptiles get. So they get mixed greens, they get shredded carrot, they get squash, they get all that good stuff. And what I like to do is throw in something as simple as this right on top, and put the veggies on there. That way this cardboard doesn't get wet, the oats don't get wet, the newspaper doesn't get wet, and you just avoid any kind of moisture going into their bedding, because that is actually fatal to these guys. They will just straight up die from that. So you see we have a pretty simple setup. Now we can kind of just go through, move some of this newspaper aside, and just start dumping some of the worms in here. And of course I'm dropping stuff in my background. So I'm going to kind of split this order up. It was 2,000. And I'm going to split it up between two totes. Just because, like I said, you don't want to overcrowd these guys. They'll start cannibalizing each other if there's not enough food, and if they just kind of get on each other's nerves. So it looks about good right there. So once we have that done, that's it. We can slap them on the counter. I keep a nice little shelf in our reptile room where we have all our feeder bugs as well. So we have superworms, we have our crickets, we have our mealworms, and then we have some dubia roaches as well. But those are in bigger totes, of course. I don't put a lid on these guys because I messed up once a while back where I fed them veggies and then I put the lid on top, and our reptile room is temperature controlled, so it gets about 85 degrees on average, and that created a lot of humidity in there, and I lost about 1,000 superworms. Now it may not seem like that big of a deal, but running a rescue, we have to cover our expenses, and just use them wisely and not do stupid crap like that. So here we go. These guys are ready to go. And I'll do the same thing with the other tote later and get them set up and put away as well. So that's it for the superworms. All right, time for the crickets. So for our crickets, we like to keep them in just a regular old aquarium with a glass screen. And I like to put dirt on the bottom. And what I'll actually do in here as well is just put a little bit of moss in here. Just something for them to crawl around through, and they kind of feel like they're, I guess, out in the wild. And I'll end up covering this with a leaf litter later. Leaf litter later. Wow. So once I get the leaf litter, they can hide, they can feel more comfortable, all that good stuff. And on top of this, egg crates again. These things are great for just giving them more room to climb so they're not overcrowding each other. You can use egg crates. Don't use styrofoam though for any of these bugs, because some of these bugs will eat it and they'll become toxic. So you can use the egg crates, you can use cardboard toilet paper rolls, cardboard paper towel rolls, anything like that you can find around the house, that you may use that you don't need anymore. I don't know why you would keep around a bunch of cardboard toilet paper rolls besides for something like this. If you do, I'm not judging you. Okay. And like I mentioned, the shipping paper comes in handy as well. So we'll just tear up a few pieces of this. Of course, you could always go buy newspaper, but I don't like having anything with too much ink in with the crickets, because crickets are just super sensitive. Now, the reason that we do stuff like this for crickets is, like I said, so they're not overcrowded, because if they feel overcrowded, they will kill each other, which I'm sure many of you know. It's hard to keep crickets alive longer than 1 or 2 days because they're little buttheads. But the bad part about that especially is that once crickets start to die off, they actually give off a gas, and the remaining crickets that are still alive, when they breathe that gas in, it starts to kill them. So if you're not cleaning out the dead bodies, as quickly as they die, you're actually killing your cricket colony. All right, so these guys are set up. Let me just get them out of here. This is always fun. And we're just going to dump them in here. So with these guys, for moisture, you can use the little, cricket cubes they sell in the store, which are ridiculously overpriced in my opinion. Or you can use water crystals that you get from like a garden store. They're little beads, and you can, just put water in them. They soak it up. They turn into these cool little gel things. But all of ours get moisture from the vegetables we feed them. So we feed them the same veggies that we feed our superworms, that we feed our dubias, like I said. The kind of leftover stuff that our reptiles get. So they eat a pretty healthy diet. A lot of our bugs actually eat better than I do, which is, I may need to change soon. But yeah, that's it. You can see these guys came in all alive. I believe these were 2-week-old crickets. So they'll have a couple weeks left in here before they kick the bucket. And that's pretty much it. So we'll just put a lid on this. We'll put this off in the room, and we'll be set.